First tonight, he's a former world champion and a role model to millions.
But it seems racing driver Lewis Hamilton hasn't been able to confine his thrill-seeking to the racetrack.
Stevenage-born Hamilton was stopped by police in Melbourne, where he's preparing for Sunday's Australian Grand Prix for allegedly deliberately losing traction in his Mercedes car. He's already apologised for his actions.
Well, our correspondent Neil Bradford is at Santa Raceway in Northamptonshire for us tonight. Neil.
Yes, the moves that Chris is doing behind us is what Lewis Hamilton was reportedly doing. They're called burnouts and fishtails. Now, he wasn't doing it in a controlled environment like this at Santa Raceway. It's reported that he did it on a main road in Australia. And the mistake he appears to have made is he did it in front of a police van. And for that, his car has been impounded in Australia, as Sally Rourke now reports.
For all their hands, there was no hiding for Lewis last night. A sheepish face was later followed by a sheepish apology from the world champion for allegedly doing a burnout and fishtail, or as the police put it,
improper use of a motor vehicle.
It was in this Mercedes that the alleged manoeuvres took place. The police watching him now, it seems, were also watching him then.
As it made the turn, police observed the rear wheels lose traction with the road surface, and the vehicle was intercepted a short distance later. As a result, a 25-year-old male from Switzerland was spoken to by police, and he's expected to be charged on summons with improper use of a motor vehicle.
The customary battle between reporters and protectors ensued, but they could do little to steer the attention away. And this statement from Lewis via McLaren later followed. This evening I was driving in an over-exuberant manner and, as a result, was stopped by the police. What I did was silly, and I want to apologise for it. If he needed reminding of the focus Formula One attracts, well, the police were on hand to do just that too.
Melbourne's on a world stage at the moment with the event and the people that we have here, and we'd like to think that all motorists behave in a sensible and mature manner.
On the other side of the world, in his hometown of Stevenage, they had this to say.
I don't know why all the fuss was about him in the first place. I don't know why they're naming a street or a drive after him in Stevenage. I'm speechless.
He's been given the job of we all wish for. He just needs older people around him to show him the way to go.
At the end of the day, you've got a lot of young kids that look at him and think, oh, well, if he can do that, why can't I?
Lewis Hamilton could face a fine if it's found he committed the offence. Further embarrassment following what was a good day. He'd had the fastest practice time for Sunday's Grand Prix, but he finished the night with no car at all. His Mercedes impounded by police. Sally Rourke, Anglia News.
Neil, this is all a bit embarrassing for him, isn't it, for Lewis Hamilton?
Yes, of course, there's no suggestion that he was driving as erratically as this in Australia, but it is an embarrassment for Lewis Hamilton, who, of course, is a role model to thousands of youngsters. Now, he's been forced to apologise for driving in an over-exuberant manner. He said what he did was silly, but it's not the first time that he's been in trouble with the police. In 2007, he was caught for speeding when he was driving 121 miles an hour, and he was banned from driving in France for a month, and he had his car impounded then. The hope amongst his fans is this won't affect his performance in this weekend's Grand Prix.
Neil, thanks very much indeed. Some news just in now, and a school coach was involved in a crash with 3 cars in Milton Keynes this afternoon. The crash happened at around 3:15 at the Walton Park roundabout in Tilbrook. No children are thought to have been seriously hurt. 6 people suffered minor injuries, and surrounding roads were closed for an hour and a half.
It's been revealed that the Sizewell B nuclear power station in Suffolk has been shut down since last week following a safety scare. Management took the decision after higher than normal moisture levels were detected. Operators EDF Energy say they've drawn up a repair programme designed to return the reactor to normal service as soon as possible. The Health and Safety executives say they're happy with the way the shutdown has been dealt with, and they'll continue to monitor the situation.
A charge of murder against a man accused of killing his baby daughter 25 years ago has been thrown out by a judge in Norwich. David Riches allegedly confessed to his son 3 years ago that he'd killed 6-week-old Melanin in 1985. The judge today ruled there was a lack of evidence, but the jury has still to decide on a charge of manslaughter.
Now it's that time of year when the clocks go forward, signalling the start of long, light evenings and the promise of warm weather at last.
But as British Summer Time kicks in again this weekend, some are asking whether we ought to have a complete rethink on the way we change the clocks.
Safety campaigners and tourist bosses want to add on a second extra hour in summer, but that's not something that's popular with farmers, as Natalie Gray now reports.
Spare a thought for Kira Canning. One of the largest collections of working clocks in Britain is housed at Timperley's Museum in Colchester, and come Sunday, every one of them has to be put forward an hour. For many of us, the clocks going forward means we're going to be a bit tetchy, having lost an hour's sleep, and we're going to have to spend the day resetting central heating boilers, DVD players, videos and radio alarms. But of course it does mean lighter evenings, and that's something plenty of people would like to see all year round. ROSPA, the Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents, says a lighter evening rush hour would save 80 lives a year.
Every single person in the country would benefit. Not only would we be safer, we would save an awful lot of money on our electricity bills.
So what are the options? At the moment, we follow Greenwich Mean Time in winter and move on to British Summer Time in summer. That means in midsummer, the sun comes up at 4:45 and sets at 9:20. In December, it comes up at 8 and sets just before 4. Option 2 would see BST lasting all year. It'd be the same in summer, but in December the sun would rise an hour later at 7 and set just before 5, giving lighter evenings. The third option is called double British Summer Time. It would mean we'd be 2 hours ahead of GMT in June, the sun rising at 5:45 and setting at 10:20. In December, it'd rise at 7 and set at around 5. This farmer at Wortham near Diss has strong views.
An hour in the morning is worth 2 in the afternoon to me. Dark mornings are difficult and dangerous. Lorries always want to come in early and load. And loading lorries and moving things around in the dark, it increases the danger to us.
But at Norwich Road School in Thetford, they disagree.
We're getting up to around about 3 o'clock and people are having a good time, people are being active. I think when we don't have that, what the children do, they go home, they play on their computer, they're not being active, and that is nothing to do with a healthy lifestyle, in my opinion.
Extending British Summer Time could boost the tourism industry by as much as £3.5 billion a year. Gulliver's Land theme park in Milton Keynes opens tomorrow for the summer season, and they'd welcome the extra revenue.
To lengthen the hours out would give people a lot more consumer confidence to actually come out of an afternoon, late afternoon, and work into the evening. So we could extend our hours and thus obviously increase our turnover.
And it's not just the British summertime they'd like to change. They'd like to do something about the British weather too. Natalie Gray, Anglia News.
Wouldn't that be nice? Do stay with us this Friday evening.